Hi there. My name is Cate Mackenzie, and my pronouns are she, her, and I am a psychosexual therapist, couples counsellor, and workshop leader. And I'm talking to you today about owning your power, speaking your truth, and how to do that, and what tools could you use to do that. Because are you finding at all that sometimes you're thinking, I've got to keep my mouth shut, or I've got to back away, or I've got to ignore this person, or I really want to tell them what to do? And I wanted to say these talks that I do are welcome to everyone in the universe, whatever sexual orientation you are, or gender, or size, class, race, culture, or privilege or not privilege, mental health, neurodiversity, age, whatever you are, wherever you are, we can all be affected by this lack of empowerment around our voice. How do we speak? How do we share? How do we tune in to even what is it we would want to say? Because if we're so used to holding our voice back, it can be scary to think, well, I don't know how someone would react. And of course, what we can do is come forward to people in that, sometimes we get the courage to say things, but we come forward in that kind of way where we're frightened of saying it, and it can come out, we might feel, in a bit of a awkward or anxious way. And then when someone responds to us, they may feel awkward or anxious too. It may confirm our beliefs. There's no point. There's no point sharing my vulnerable feelings with people. And so I suppose what I wanted to talk to you about was what we call in emotionally focused therapy, which is about attachment theory, is the idea that it's great to create a space where you feel regulated, where your nervous system is calm, where you are practicing your pleasure practices, giving yourself ways to soothe yourself, to bring in the oxytocin, the happiness hormone, through touch, through baths, through lovely chats, through laughing, the dopamine hormone, that's the pleasure surprises, lovely things that you like to do, can be an orgasm, or the serotonin, where you feel respect, you feel your purpose, or you feel you're giving service. It's really good to think about regulating yourself. In polyvagal theory from Stephen Porges, there's this idea that when we're switched off, when we're a little bit low, a little bit depressed, we're in what they call the dorsal vagal. And it's really tricky to think about, how would I have my voice and how would I speak up? I feel so far away and it's just impossible. And you need to get yourself a little bit more revved. You need to get yourself a little bit more energy going, a little bit your anger going, even, to get yourself into the zone where you might kind of find your voice. If you find you're anxiously attached, you're in the sympathetic range of your anxious and adrenalized, and you want to say something, but you might feel like you might be saying it in a way that might come across as too tense, you might want to also think about regulating, about pleasure practices. And all of this is about systematic desensitization, which is about building resilience, about taking little risks to find your voice. Sometimes in families, there have been great histories where people, for whatever reason, have been told, shut up, back down, don't speak. Or in families, there can be these phrases, family hold back, which means don't eat the food, let other people eat the food, let other people have things. Or there can be, family shame, where somebody in the family revealed things that went on, certain abuses, certain difficulties, and they were shamed for that. And so what can happen is, even intergenerationally, there can be someone who spoke up and they were shamed, or someone who was made to keep quiet about things, and you can feel that through the generations, and before you know it, you don't even necessarily know what you're feeling. And we in EFT again, they give yourself the 90-second rule. Let yourself slow down for 90 seconds and notice what you're feeling. Notice what you want to say. because what we say is that there are secondary and primary emotions. So secondary emotions are reactivity, and that might be that you hide away, or it might be that you get anxious and want to fight and want to sort things out in that kind of fight, flight, freeze way. So, or you might feel regulated and feel like you're more securely attached, and you might feel like you're able to say, oh, I need this, or I want that. And how is that? If you've grown up with people attending to you or attending to your needs, and it feels natural, normal to ask, to be vulnerable, to be open, then it might be able to be, you might be able to be in a flow. In my work, we name this turtles and octopuses and dolphins. So turtles are the withdrawers, maybe the people, the more dorsal people, maybe people who might be switched off, who might need things to help them get into the right place to express feelings. But also the octopus is the pursuer, the high desire, the anxiously attached, who's reaching and connecting. And what we ideally want in the area of helping you to really express yourself is to be in the dolphin place. The dolphin place of, yes, thank you so much, BB, is to just allow yourself to regulate yourself, to feel having more fun, having more pleasure, having a relaxed belly, a relaxed tongue, having your heart connected with things that make you feel happy. What makes you feel happy? It's a lot easier if you've created that environment of pleasure and happiness and joy inside you to then go and speak your vulnerable pieces to people. So for example, we talk about secondary and primary emotions. Secondary emotions is the reactivity, whether I hide away or storm forward. Primary emotions are what's really going on in my heart. Fear, despair, joy, happiness, longing. What are my longings in my heart? But how can I create that safe environment to open my heart and come heart to you or to another person? How can I frame it in such a way where you can hear me and I can say what I need to say? How can I go speak to that boss that promised me a raise, or promised that I would go further, and it doesn't seem like that's happening? How can I talk to my sister, my brother, my friend, my caregivers? How can I manage the relationship with my partner? How can I come forward when it may have been scary for me to come forward and own my voice? And as you probably know, there's a wonderful person called Stuart Pearce, and he works with the voice. He calls it your own note, and you can practice how to really come into this. Also connects with the polyvagal theory that if the way we connect, if we connect from that more regulated place, being in the dolphin place of the fun and the pleasure, also connecting with our voice. And the idea is attunement is better than empathy. It means being with someone where they're at, so that we're not skipping. You know, if you ever feel like, oh, I'm trying to tell someone something, but they're not there, check. Is this the right moment? Is this the right time? Because we want, again, in the EFT terms, ARE conversations. Are you available, accessible? Are you responsive? Are you engaged? Because if they're not, it's going to feel like we're crashing against a wall. And we might be flirting with them and trying to meet them and trying to be nice to them. But if that's not the right place for them, they can't hear us. Maybe we can't hear ourselves if we're not in an engaged place. So it's how do you allow yourself to get regulated, to give yourself a pleasure practice. I recommend half an hour a day thinking about pleasure for you. I've recently, for example, bought myself these beautiful cups which have gold handles and flowers and birds on them, and so that every time I have my cup of tea, I feel delightful, delicious, and I feel looked after. I really recommend people flirt with themselves, get themselves into a nice place. You know, as you can see, I've got a flower in my hair, I've got flowers behind me. I've chosen a nice little trouser outfit to put on to speak to you today, to help myself feel regulated, feel grounded, to support myself. So we mirror secure attachment by how we treat ourselves. That helps us meet others, to have our voice in the world. And Stuart Pearce would recommend that you and you tone, to allow yourself to do attunement but lower your tone. In polyvagal theory, if like a mother's when soothing the baby, mummy's here, daddy's here, your caregiver's here. That soothing voice, which is just lowering your tone. And you can do that by relaxing your belly, softening your belly, and toning Om, and letting an Om really move through your body. It can really open your voice up. If you use your voice, it is really powerful. There's an amazing film called Attune, which is a sci-fi movie. And in it, they have these priestesses who have the power of the voice. And with their voice, they can do anything. They can take control of a whole situation. Stuart Pearce worked with Margaret Thatcher, and he worked with Princess Diana on their voices. If you can look at it on YouTube, what happened to them before. Margaret Thatcher, her voice was up here, and he worked with her to lower her voice. And you can listen to that. Same with Princess of Wales. He worked with her to work with her voice. So there's a lot of aspects about getting the courage to feel your feelings, the courage to regulate yourself, give yourself pleasure, and then also the breath and the toning to allow yourself to be like an instrument in the orchestra of life, so that when you use your voice, you're allowing yourself to come into your power, owning your truth. And if you're coming from a more regulated place, understanding that you deserve to be able to speak your truth. You deserve to come forward. You deserve a place in the world. And that's allowing your voice to settle in your body, in your being, and allowing yourself to have that space, have that voice. So Mary Fenwick, who is the psychology's agony aunt, she gave a beautiful talk which I loved so much, because what she said is, you do not want to share your most vulnerable pieces, your most vulnerable stories publicly in a vulnerable place first. You want to share them with compatriots. What does that mean? It means you want to practice your requests, your voice, your deep inner primary feelings, somewhere you feel safe. And then you can take it further out. So having compatriots is very important, having people around you. If you feel like you haven't got those kind of people, then have a look for like-minded people, like-minded groups, like-minded things online. I, for example, have just given a talk last Friday at the Embodiment Conference. And on this Friday, I'm going to do an event with them this Friday night, British summertime, on flirting, dating. So they are creating a lot of connections in that conference. People are meeting and connecting across the world in so many different ways, and finding like-minded people, like-minded groups. But again, if that's not for you, there'll be other routes and ways to find like-minded people, because we're not meant to be alone. We're really meant to feel togetherness with others. We're meant to feel that sense of love. Dennis Proffitt from the Virginia University discovered that when we try and do things on our own, we use 6 times more glucose to do that, and we don't have as much glucose as we need for our prefrontal cortex, for our brain to think. So if you imagine trying to do things like trying to be daring and going and saying your truth, or daring and taking a risk in your work or with a relationship, and if you're doing it on your own, you are putting yourself under enormous stress. If you do it with other people, togetherness, you are being supported, you are being loved, you are being nourished, you are being nurtured. And that is the key. That is the key to how to help you come forward, speak your voice. You might also discover in your ancestry there were people who were shut up. there were people who were enslaved. There were people who were refugees. There were people who had no rights, or maybe currently in your life, or maybe you've had experiences of being shut up or put down or disempowered. That's very important to honour. How can you honour that? Could you plant a plant? Could you say a prayer if you believe in that? Could you say an affirmation? Could you honour that? Because we're all so connected. We're all so connected with each other. And when we honour those parts, we allow ourselves to come more alive. We allow ourselves to come more in tune with ourselves. Now, of course, if we've been very stressed, doing lots of to-do lists, lots of stress hormones, it's very difficult for relationships. It's very difficult to find your voice and come forward from a very stressed place of having cortisol, adrenaline, testosterone running through your system, anxiety or fear or withdrawal. And again, the idea would be is that you allow more pleasure. What is pleasure for you? You can even put a timer on each day where you allow yourself to touch yourself, to connect with yourself, to even just rubbing your hands and placing your hands on your body. Especially in this time where people may not be connecting with people so much, it can be really important to feel that sense of touch. Are you near nature? Can you be in nature? Can you be around people? What's your possibilities? Even there's so much on Zoom now that people can connect, people can find their ways. And if you wanted to date, can you allow yourself to go on? There's Zoom dating, Zoom friend dating, Zoom relationship dating. There's even Zoom play parties. There's so much stuff now. And can you allow yourself to find that? Because if you allow yourself to find ways to receive oxytocin, dopamine, and all the lovely endorphin, all the lovely hormones that make you feel good, it'll help you feel landed, grounded. It'll help you reach out. And then in the reaching out, can you slow yourself down? And in the words of Virginia Satir, can you allow yourself to find out what it is you really want, what you're curious about, and be open about that. Sometimes when we want to make a complaint to someone, she's got a beautiful method called the temperature gauge. And you can make it a little smaller into the appreciation sandwich, where you appreciate someone, appreciate their life, you appreciate they're busy, you appreciate they may have a lot going on. Holding that idea that you don't know maybe why you've fallen out, or you don't know why your boss didn't give you the raise, or you don't know why your partner, it seems disconnected at the moment. Maybe holding that gentleness to just get curious, so you appreciate them. I know you're busy, I know you've got a lot on your plate, I know lots going on, I know we're all in this world pandemic, what's happening? And then you get curious. I've just been wondering, you've said you would like to spend more time with me or give me a raise, or you've said there's no problem, but I'm wondering, I feel like there is. I feel like you haven't come back to me about the raise, you haven't made a plan to spend time with me, or I was hoping for more closeness, and it doesn't feel like it's there. But with curiosity, because the other person may not realise that, or they may not feel like that. So just allowing that window of not assuming, and then request. Because I'd love to know. I'd love to find out. I'd love to have some time with you. Or I'd love to know about that raise that you talked about. And I'd love to know, my request would be that you tell me about it soon. Or if it's someone and you haven't spoken to for ages, I'd love us to talk. And then, and this is from the woman who wrote the Queen's Code, Armstrong. She says you can add in, and what do you need from me to help this happen? So if your partner is not responding to you, if your partner is not spending time with you and you'd really like them to, you could ask them, what can I do to help that happen? If your boss promised you something but it hasn't happened, but you really like it to happen, what can I do that might help this situation move in the right direction. Because we co-create. It often seems like we're waiting and it's the other person's decision and it's up to them what's going on, but we co-create. If you've ever talked to people that put dramas or TV shows together, when they audition actors, they will often have like 3 to 6 people who look just the same for a certain part. And often if you talk to people when they're auditioning them, there'll be one actor who will lean forward and say, "This is my part. I know I can do this. This is for me." And there's something very striking about that vulnerability, about that personable space that they're bringing in. There's something very striking, very touching. That's about finding your voice. It's not easy, which is why I'm suggesting more pleasure, more compatriots, more practices, whatever they are for you, to help shore yourself up. Because actually, when you feel like you are love and you are loved and you have enough love in your life, perhaps your voice then is a little lower in your body because perhaps you are more regulated, then it's going to be easier. And this is not to say it's ever easy to really ask or do what you want. And some people do it. That's the other thing, is you can find people who are already doing this stuff and see how they do it. Ask them. You can get mentors. Many people are happy to help. So, yeah, this stuff is not necessarily easy for anyone or everyone. And for some people it is much easier. And also it can take time to find out what it is that you want to say. What are the words that feel really real to you? And that may take time, but especially if you're someone who's focused on others a lot. So empowering yourself around your truth, around speaking your truth, is a journey, and it's an ongoing journey. So I would suggest that you find the way that's right for you, and if anything made sense here, wonderful, and if it doesn't, absolutely fine. Because you may find what is exactly right for you. So, wishing you really well. My name is Cate Mackenzie. I am a sex therapist and a couples counsellor and a workshop leader. I have a whole course on communication in January for 6 weeks, and I have a course in November the 29th on opening your heart and connecting to you, to open your heart to the life you want to live. And I do these Facebook Lives once a month. So if anything resonated with you, please feel welcome to stay in touch. Anything you don't like, please let go of. And I hope that I've encouraged you a little bit about speaking your truth, owning your power. Thanks very much. Bye.